So they just called me and said they couldn't load the trailer because they said that my trailer wasn't even, and I'm on this line all the way back. And what my question is like, so like, what's the point of the line? Well, that's more like it. So anyway, how's everybody doing today? My name is Billy Rains. I am a big time YouTube truck driver. Been driving for like 5 years. In today's video, we're going to be talking about why did I get into truck driving? That's a good question, Billy. Why did you get into trucking? I know it's a good question because, well, I'm the one asking it, right? So I know it's a good question. To make a long story short, basically, I needed a job. All right, that's the long story short. But to make a short story long, so before I got into truck driving, I had a bunch of different jobs. I worked at Whataburger when I was younger, Walmart. I was in the Army. I was a prison guard. But the job I had right before I got into trucking was actually at a factory, and we built those little box trucks, like the U-Haul vans and stuff like that. And my job, I started off doing floors, which was just drilling holes in floors and putting bolts in them and stuff like that. Eventually, I moved into doing connecting the box onto the chassis. So this factory just built the boxes, and then somebody would attach the boxes onto like Hino or Freightliner or International chassis. And that was the job I was doing when I got fired. I got fired. I got fired, and that's what I was doing when I got fired. Was I was connecting the boxes onto the chassis. And the reason I got fired technically was for safety reasons, right? So when I was attaching these boxes onto the chassis, they would have a U-hook, which is like basically a U-shaped bolt, right? They would put it on top of the box, and it would go down below the chassis. Then you would put a brace on there. Then you'd put a washer and a nut, and you would tighten it up. So that's what my job was. I got fired for safety reasons because I was putting the nuts on there on the bolts without the washer. And I knew that was wrong. Okay, Billy, if you knew it was wrong, then why was you doing it? Great question. Awesome. Great question. So basically, we had a shortage of U-bolts. We didn't have U-bolts that were the right size. So I went to my supervisors and I explained to them the problem. They told me to figure it out. So the problem is if you don't, so with the washer and then the nut on there, for it to be legal, there has to be a certain inchage below the nut, right? And so I couldn't get that without, so once I took the washer out, I had the right length. And in my thinking, I was like, okay, so the nut is bigger than the hole. So why would I need the washer if the nut's bigger than the hole? This is what my brain was thinking. Needless to say, probably not the job for me. But nonetheless, we got fired for safety reasons because we weren't putting washers on there. And that's why I got fired from that job. So that's why I lost the factory job. I warned you guys that this was going to be a short story long. Anyway, so now I've lost the factory job. I need another job. I've got to make money. I've got child support. We've got bills, car payments, all kinds of stuff, right? So I need another job. But here's the thing. I'd gotten used to a certain income. And due to me getting used to this certain income and my bills being what they were, I couldn't just go work at McDonald's or Whataburger or even Walmart. And with the fact of how I got fired for safety reasons, I didn't see my options in the factory manufacturing space really being all that good. So basically, what I ended up having to do was find something where I was making a pretty nice little bag without any college experience or anything like that. So that's why I got into trucking. And the reason I figured out about trucking was my girlfriend at the time. Her brother worked in the trucking industry doing food liner or something like that, some kind of shit like that. So she was like, well, have you ever thought about doing trucking? And I was like, well, I had never even thought about trucking, which was crazy because I had a friend. Well, I have a friend, best friend, Jason Terry, Jake, JT from the FL, big dog, right? He was a trucker way back in the day, and he never thought to bring up to me trucking as like we worked at the prison together, and never decided to bring up to me, hey, why don't you get into trucking, right? Because trucking is a great fucking job, and I just feel bad that I wasted so much of my time doing all these other jobs when I could have just been trucking the whole time. So that's my story. That's how I ended up in trucking. That's why I got into trucking, because I got fired for safety reasons. And I just, here I am. Here I am. And I'm a trucker now. So it's my story.